So, picture this. You're a student, cap and gown on, diploma in hand, and you are stepping proudly into the real world. But almost immediately, you realize there's a massive game being played all around you. And the crazy part? You were never taught the rules. It's the money game. Look, money runs the world, and if you don't actually understand the mechanics of this game, you're going to lose. Today, in this explainer, we're breaking down the 10 basic financial concepts you absolutely need to know to stop losing money and start building real wealth. Okay, let's dive into this.
All right, consider this your financial syllabus for adulthood. We'll start with Welcome to the Real World, uncover the invisible wealth eaters, look at navigating the system, move on to how to build wealth, and finally, we'll reveal your ultimate secret weapon.
Section 1. Welcome to the Real World, the first paycheck.
So, you've officially graduated. You landed that first post-grad job, you work your absolute hardest all month, you finally get paid, and boom. A giant, invisible vacuum cleaner just sucks away 30% of your earnings right into the void. That void, as you might have guessed, is taxes. Federal, state, Social Security, the whole shebang. It honestly feels like this modern ritual of just giving your money away, right? But there is a flip side here. Taxes are basically the cost of civilization. They build the roads we drive on, they fund the schools, and they make sure that sketchy food truck you love actually passes health inspections. You pay income tax on what you make, sales tax on what you spend, and capital gains tax on your investments. Annoying? Absolutely. But it's worth noting that countries with higher taxes generally boast a much higher quality of life. Anyway, that remaining 70%, that's yours to navigate.
So, where exactly do you put that remaining 70%? In the bank, obviously. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the harsh reality check it provides on something called fractional reserve banking. Because the truth is, your money is already gone. Yeah, banks aren't these giant, impenetrable safes guarded by dragons. They're basically financial matchmakers. They only keep a tiny fraction of your deposits on hand and lend the rest out. When you deposit $1,000 from that first paycheck, the bank turns around and lends most of it to someone buying, I don't know, a jet ski, and they charge them a way higher interest rate than they pay you. So why keep your money there at all? Well, it's definitely safer than a shoebox under your bed, it's government insured, and frankly, it's just way easier to swipe a card than to carry around heavy bags of coins everywhere.
Section 2. The invisible wealth eaters, traps to avoid.
Right, so once your cash is actually sitting in the bank, you immediately face these invisible traps. The first trap, which can actually be your greatest ally, is interest. Interest is simply money's way of charging rent to exist in someone else's hands. As a recent grad dealing with student loans or that very first credit card, you need to understand this right now. Simple interest is exactly what it sounds like, just a flat fee for borrowing cash. But compound interest? Oh man, that is money literally cloning itself, and then those clones demand rent too. If you miss a credit card payment, your interest earns interest. Suddenly a $12 lunch turns into a $50 regret. No way around it. But if you're on the receiving end, say you're investing at a solid 7% compound rate, your cash duplicates like a literal cheat code. The golden rule here? If you're paying it, kill it fast. If you're earning it, let it sit there and feed it.
Then we have the subtle, sneaky theft of inflation. Look at this. In year 1, a bag of chips is $2. Fast forward to year 5, and it's $4. And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when money slowly gets less valuable over time. Your $5 bill is still technically $5, sure, but it buys fewer chips, less gas, and a lot fewer noodles. Why does this happen? Sometimes there's just way too much money chasing way too few goods, or supply chains totally break down. Now, a little bit of inflation, say around 2% a year, is perfectly fine, healthy even. But if it spikes, your savings essentially die.
And you know what happens when the government tries to fight that inflation by jacking up interest rates to cool things off? Yep, we get recessions. Think of recessions as the ultimate, grueling final exam for your savings account. The warning signs are usually pretty clear. The economy shrinks for over 6 months, jobs vanish, the stock market crashes, and everyone starts hoarding cash just for the bare necessities. It's kind of like the economy is this wild, raging party, but eventually the lights flicker on, harsh reality hits, and the DJ puts on some sad music. Especially for recent grads just entering the job market, this can be downright terrifying because everyone just stops spending. Now, recessions are incredibly painful resets, no doubt about it. But you have to remember this, they never last forever. Eventually, spending returns, businesses rebuild, and the party starts all over again.
Section 3. Navigating the system. Rules of trust.
Okay, now that you've survived the wealth eaters, your journey brings you face to face with the invisible algorithms that truly run our financial lives. Right at the very center of that system, your credit score. I want you to think of this as your adult GPA. It's this shadowy, 3-digit algorithm ranging from 300 to 850. Down at 400, Yeah, you are a walking red flag. Hit 580, and you're just scraping by in the minimum acceptable zone. But reach over 750 or 800, you are absolutely sparkling with adult credibility. Just like your grades back in school, if you ignore this metric, it will absolutely ruin your financial life, handing you soul-crushing interest rates. But if you take care of it, by simply paying your bills on time, it makes you look super trustworthy to lenders when you eventually want to buy a house or a car. It's really not about being rich, it's entirely about being reliable.
But hold on, here's an even bigger rule of trust to wrap your head around. Currency itself is just a shared illusion built entirely on collective trust. So, the crucial point is, money isn't actually real. Seriously, there is zero physical difference in legitimacy between a paper dollar bill, a digital Bitcoin, or even a literal wooden stick. The only reason a dollar buys you a coffee and a stick doesn't is because we, as a society, collectively agree that it does. The government prints it, central banks regulate it, and we happily trade it. But if the government prints too much of it, inflation turns that hard-earned cash into monopoly money. Currency is 100% a social construct built on trust.
Section 4. How to build wealth. Going on the offensive.
All right, once you understand trust and value, it's time to shift your post-grad journey from just playing defense to offensive mastery. Since we know inflation is quietly stealing your money's value every single day, the best way to fight back is to put your money to work. Your primary investing vehicles are pretty straightforward. You can buy stocks, which are just tiny slices of companies. You can buy bonds, essentially government loans that pay you interest. You can buy funds, which are baskets of stocks, so you don't have to stress about picking individual winners. Or you can buy real estate. Look, investing isn't about getting lucky. It's about being early, being diversified, and being extremely patient. The real danger here isn't losing money in the stock market. It's never investing at all and just letting inflation eat your future alive.
But that begs the question, how do you get the extra money to invest in the first place? Well, it all comes down to this one simple truth. If you provide a lot of value, you earn a lot of money. Picture a regular, boring gray rock. It's just a rock, right? Now picture it shiny and yellow, bam, it's gold. Now, gold isn't inherently more useful than that gray rock, it's just rarer, so we place a much higher value on it. It's the same with people. Creators who build things that millions of people want, they get paid millions. Doctors earn incredibly well because their value to society is sky high. If you can figure out how to create immense value for others, you can make a serious amount of money to fuel your investments.
Section 5. Your ultimate secret weapon. The final lesson.
Well, we are finally at the end of the syllabus. You've navigated the pitfalls and you've learned the offensive plays. Let's move to our last, most crucial concept and see how this builds into your ultimate strategy. Here it is. Wealth isn't built in days, it's built in decades. Listen, time is the absolute most valuable asset in the world. And as a new graduate playing the money game, you're starting with a ton of it. Most people just trade time directly for money. 1 hour work for a fraction of a paycheck. But the top earners, they use leverage. And nowhere does time work harder for you than in investing. There is literally no greater force in wealth building than time. This is exactly how ordinary people, with totally average, modest paychecks, manage to retire with 7 figures in the bank. They didn't cheat the system, they just gave their money decades to multiply.
So there you have it. Your graduation is officially complete. The board is set and the invisible rules are finally crystal clear. So I've got to ask, which of these 10 rules of the money game will you master first? Are you going to conquer your adult GPA and raise that credit score? Maybe you'll kill your compound interest debt right now. Or will you start planting the seeds of your investments today just to let time do its magic? Because once you master these concepts, you will absolutely master your financial future. Now it's your turn to step out there and play the game to win. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I will see you in the next one.